A very warm welcome to our Gullips community. If you feel like you're drowning in confusing and honestly conflicting advice about weight loss, you have found the right place. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out. Today, we are going to cut through all that noise and debunk the biggest weight loss myths out there so you can finally focus on what really, truly works. Let's dive right in.
So let's start with an absolute classic. I mean, who hasn't thought this? If you want to lose fat from your belly, you should work your belly muscles. It feels so intuitive, so logical. But is that really how our bodies are designed to work? Let's take a closer look. And that question leads us directly to our first huge myth, this idea of spot reduction. It's the belief that you can kind of laser focus your fat loss, picking and choosing which part of your body gets leaner just by exercising that specific area.
So yeah, the theory is that if you do 1,000 crunches, your body will specifically grab the fat sitting on top of your abs for fuel. It's a super appealing idea, right? So simple. But the actual biology behind how we lose fat is, well, it's a lot more interesting than that.
Okay, so the reason spot reduction is a myth comes down to this one process, lipolysis. Just think of your body's fat stores as one big savings account. When a muscle over in your leg needs energy, your body doesn't just check the leg fat branch. No, it makes a system-wide withdrawal, releasing fatty acids into your bloodstream from all over, ready to be used by any part of your body that needs it.
And this chart breaks it down perfectly. When you do sit-ups, sure, your ab muscles get stronger, but they're mostly using fuel that's already stored right there inside the muscle. To burn that layer of fat on top, you need your whole body to get the signal to release stored fat. And here's the real kicker. Where your body decides to pull that fat from first, that's almost entirely determined by your genetics, not the exercise you're doing. So crunches are great for a strong core, but they're not a magic wand for belly fat.
All right, now that we've put that big exercise myth to bed, let's switch gears and talk about nutrition. Because there is one particular villain that gets blamed for everything, the carbohydrate. You've heard this a million times. It's the entire foundation for so many popular diets. And the logic, on the surface, seems to make sense. Carbs raise insulin. Insulin is a storage hormone, so if you cut out the carbs, you stop storing fat. Easy, right? Well, this simple story leaves out a massive piece of the puzzle.
So to really get what's happening, you need to know about something called glycogen. It's just the way your body stores carbs in your muscles and liver for fast energy. But here's the part nobody talks about. For every single gram of glycogen you store, your body has to bind it to about 3 to 4 grams of water.
So think about what happens when you suddenly stop eating carbs. Your body starts burning through all that stored glycogen for energy. And as it uses up the glycogen, all of that water that was attached to it gets flushed out of your system. This is why people see such a dramatic drop on the scale in that first week of a low-carb diet. It feels amazing, but you have to know, it's not fat loss. It's almost entirely water weight.
Okay, we've covered exercise and major diet myths. Now, let's wander into the wild world of miracle cures. You know what I'm talking about. The stuff you see all over social media promising incredible results for pretty much zero effort.
The whole detox industry is a multi-billion-dollar giant, and it's all built on this one shaky idea, that our bodies are filling up with nasty toxins, and we need to buy special products to clean ourselves out. But this whole idea is based on a complete misunderstanding of how incredible our bodies already are.
Here's the truth. You already own the world's most sophisticated 24/7 detoxification system. Your liver, your kidneys, your GI tract, they are working nonstop to filter your blood and get rid of waste. They don't need any help from a $10 tea. What they need is good nutrition, enough fiber, and plenty of water to do their jobs properly.
And what about Apple Cider Vinegar? It's everywhere, right? Another one of these supposed miracle cures. But the actual science just isn't there. In fact, one of the biggest studies that went viral in 2024, claiming amazing weight loss benefits, had to be completely retracted by a prestigious medical journal because the data was just wrong. The science was flawed. And you know, this isn't just a harmless fad. Using too much concentrated apple cider vinegar can cause some very real harm. We're talking about eroding the enamel right off your teeth, causing chemical burns in your throat, and even messing with your potassium levels, which is super dangerous if you have diabetes or are taking certain medications.
So, if all these quick fixes and myths are dead ends, what's the actual answer? Well, it all begins with understanding one absolutely fundamental concept: the massive difference between losing weight and losing fat. They are not the same thing.
Look, that number on your bathroom scale just doesn't tell the full story. When you lose weight, especially quickly, it could be water, or even worse, it could be precious muscle. The real goal should always be fat loss. It's a much slower process, absolutely, but it's the thing that preserves your metabolism and actually gives you a fighting chance at keeping the weight off for good.
And we have to remember, this is not a simple game of willpower. For many people, obesity is a complex hormonal problem. Take leptin resistance, for example. The body is screaming, "I'm full," but the brain's smoke detector is broken, so it never gets the message. That leads to constant hunger. That is a biological reality, not a character flaw.
So if the myths are wrong and the quick fixes are a trap, what on earth actually works? Well, let's stop guessing and let's look at the real data from thousands of people who didn't just lose the weight, they kept it off.
This is where it gets really powerful. There's an incredible project called the National Weight Control Registry. They've studied over 10,000 people who have lost a lot of weight and successfully maintained it for the long haul. This isn't just a theory from a book. This is a real-world roadmap to success. So what's their secret?
I want you to think about this number, 90%. What do you think is the one habit that 90% of these incredibly successful people share? I bet it's not what you're thinking.
The secret isn't some magic diet or a secret supplement. It's consistency. It's boring, but it's true. Look at this. A staggering 90% of them exercise for about an hour almost every day. Most of them eat breakfast. They weigh themselves regularly to stay accountable. And they maintain consistent eating habits even on the weekends. They build routines.
So when you boil it all down, the science is unbelievably clear. Lasting success doesn't come from a 7-day cleanse or a restrictive diet you hate. It comes from building a foundation of healthy habits that you can actually stick with for life. So the real question isn't, what's the next diet? It's this: are you ready to stop chasing quick fixes and start building a lifestyle? Thank you so much for joining me today, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more myth-busting explainers just like this one.